Lupe Alsidez.
How's it going, everybody? My name is Lupe Alsidez. I am a Chicano from the west side of San Antonio, Texas. Um, I got banned earlier on TikTok for too much vulgar language, and for some reason it got lifted. So I figured I'd go live like I usually do when I go live. I like to record for my podcast. So I have an S load of new followers on TikTok. So I figured I'd give, wow, 11 people in here right now. I'm on TikTok Live and Instagram Live. Instagram is always kind of slow, so we're not going to hate on TikTok for that. But I figured we'd do another Q&A. I'll give you guys a little bit of a brief intro about myself, my background. That way you guys can know a little bit about me, and then I'll let you guys ask questions. I will answer your questions. I will answer your questions. This is totally unscripted, ad lib. Let's go. So, as I love to say on TikTok, I am an educated Chicano. I love to brag about that because I did go to school for a really long time. I have two bachelors and a master's. I have a bachelor's in English and Mexican American Studies. I have a master's in in English. So I went to undergrad at the University of Texas at San Antonio, UTSA. I got my master's from Texas A&M San Antonio on the south side. I love to say that it's from the south side because when I was going to school, I literally took the bus from the west side all the way to the south side. It took me an hour going on the bus. Hold on, you guys. Let me do my intro, and then I'll look at the comments, read the comments, what everybody's saying. So when I was going to UTSA, I was living Five Palms area, going all the way to UTSA. It took me 3 hours to get to school on the bus because I had to take the bus from my sister's house all the way to Keolac Park and Ride, the Keolac Park and Ride all the way downtown. From downtown, I had to go all the way to 10 and 1604 to UTSA. So it would take me about 3 hours on a good day. So I'm ashamed of some of the mistakes I made in the past, but I'm proud of the obstacles that I have overcome. So I am a recovering addict. I've been clean since April 2004. I am a convicted felon. The DA wanted to convict me on paper because he said it right in front of my face to the judge, let's convict him on paper so when he comes back, we got him. That was the last time I've ever been inside a courtroom ever. So that was a great motivator for me. Plus, I went through my own moment of clarity, hit rock bottom, all that stuff. Decided that this was not the way God intended me to live. I had been in and out of county 8 times in a 10-year period. 8 times in a 10-year period. So I was like, I need to cut it out. And like my jefita used to say, ya paro tu pinche pedo. So I paré mi pinche pedo. So went to school, got my BA, got my other BA, double major. Um, couldn't get a job, so I got my master's. Still can't get a job because of my background, but at least I can say that I have a master's in English. Um, been self-employed since about 2002. I've always helped people move. Went to bartending school back in 2002. Been doing those two things since then, moving and bartending. Um, Widower, been divorced, currently single, live alone. I do have 2 biological kids, 4 stepkids, 11 grandkids. Come from a huge family, so that's not a big deal for me. I have 6 sisters. Grandparents had 13 kids, so I have 13 aunts and uncles. Everybody had kids, so I have a lot of cousins, a lot of nieces and nephews. They had kids, so I have a big, huge family. I say all of this because I believe that it's it lends to the things that I say. Just like the argument that we were having earlier. That's my culture. That's the way I grew up. Those are the things that I know. That's the stuff that I believe in. Very old school. I grew up with very old school values. The jefita was very strict on certain things, the way we act, behave, talk, the things that I believe in. Um, Not sure what else I need to let you guys know about myself and my background, but that's who I am. And that's where I come from. So, with that being said, um, the last thing that is not really major, it's not a huge deal, but I did recently join a blues band with a friend from high school, lead singer. So for those of you that tell me don't quit my day job, I don't have a day job for one because I do Uber at night. I've been doing Uber for about a year and a half. Lots of stories to tell about that. This is not going to be an Uber podcast, so we're gonna do Q&A. If anybody has any questions, now is the time to ask. Um, I did do a little bit of acting back in the day, not anything major. I took theater in high school. I did acting in college. I've been an extra on a few movies. I've done a few low budget stuff. Nothing to write home about, but I do have that little bit of a background. I've always wanted to voice act because I've always thought doing voices was super cool. Um, but you don't necessarily have to do voices to do voiceover. A lot of times they just want your natural voice. But I like doing the voices thing, you know. That's why I make that video on TikTok about the news anchor thing. It's like, back to you, Bob. This is Lupe from the West Side, signing off. Um, With that being said, if anybody has any questions that they want to ask, I do live in San Antonio, so hello to everybody from San Antonio. Hello to the people in California. How's it going, you guys? Um, I have lived in Texas all my life. I was born in Nebraska. My parents were migrant farm workers. Was born in Nebraska. Been here in Texas since I was 2. Right after my biological father passed away. Have been in San Antonio pretty much most of my life. I lived in a small town, very white, very racist town, close to Abilene. Um, so when I talk about racism, I talk about it from a very personal perspective, because I know what it feels like, I know what it looks like, I know what it sounds like. So things that sometimes people say to me, it's like, that was a very racist comment to make. I have been to Houston. I don't like Houston. I don't like Austin because traffic is horrible. I hate to sound like a jerk, but I don't like it because of the um, traffic. Last time I went to Austin, I had an audition and it took me 30 minutes longer to get there because something happened that we were going into town and just outside of Austin, traffic was bumper to bumper, and I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. I almost turned back around, but if you know how the highways are, they're one way, so I couldn't just turn around. Um, I just finished saying that I do have a criminal background, so no, I can't teach. Um, what's up, San Diego? I have been to San Diego. Another part of my history was I got kicked out of the Navy. I was in there for 15 months. I was stationed in San Diego. I was on a ship, the USS Peoria. Um, we did do, we went underway a few times. We went to Long Beach and San Francisco. So I've been to those, well, I've been to San Francisco and I've been to San Diego. I didn't get to go to Long Beach because I was on restriction because I was getting into trouble right before I got kicked out. I-35 is very crazy. I don't like going to Austin, but sometimes I get an Uber and they want to go to Austin. Don't really have a choice because I'm, getting paid for it. But if it's a personal thing, I'd rather not. Unless it's at night. Nighttime isn't too bad. You just have to deal with all the trucks. That's the only thing that sucks about uh, driving at night is all the trucks that are on the road. Last night I dropped off a passenger in Lukenbach, Texas, and the GPS took me through a really small country road. You want to talk about scary AF? Dude, I watched Movies. My favorite genre is horror movies. I have seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I'll tell you what, I was so nervous the entire time. That's why I went live, because I was like, okay, so I'm going live because I'm in the middle of nowhere on a dirt road. If something happens to me, I need witnesses. This is how Texas Chainsaw Massacre happens. So, I'm just going to say this. I don't like Trump. I voted for Biden. If you don't like Biden, that's on you. I have nothing wrong with what he does as long as it's not Trump and he's reversing all the BS that Trump is doing, just like he reversed all the stuff that Obama did. More power to him. I voted for him. I'm supporting my president. That's all I got to say about that. Um, yeah, I don't care if you want to make fun of me, if you want to call me, names, but I wasn't like shaking scared, but it makes me uncomfortable being in the middle of nowhere. There's not even any street lights. I was literally with the brights on the entire time because it's so dark and scary. Um, you want to talk about, it took me 20 minutes to get to the highway because I was on a country road and I was like, no, I need to get home. I need to get back to the highway because this is too scary. And GPS was like, go back through that same country road. I was like, no, I want to get to I-10. I am not taking no country road back home. Heck no. Especially as dark and scary as that road was. I was like, no, I'm not going back the same way I came. So I went. It took me 20 minutes to get to 87. 87 eventually hits I-10. I was like nervous the whole time, and then I'll tell you guys this, a story since nobody. This is Q&A, so if you have any questions you want to ask me that's not political, I will answer them. Back in the day, if anybody knows anything about San Antonio, there's a thing called the ghost tracks. So a bus full of kids got hit by a train. So supposedly the legend goes that the kids, the ghosts of all those kids hang around that area, and if you get stuck on the tracks, they will push you off the tracks. Whether it's real or not, I don't know. But on the way over there, it is very, very dark. Back in the day, I don't know if it's still as dark as it used to be. So we used to always like to go. It's a thing, you park on the tracks and then the car goes over the tracks and you're like, whoa, was that real? Was it not real? It's on a hill, but you kind of like debate about that. So we're going over there and I start messing with, the youngsters, and I'm turning on and off the light. Dude, the lights will not come off. And then the car turns off. And holy crap. And the car finally turns on, turn on the lights. We're not playing around anymore. So, yeah. So, there's that. Other than that, does anybody have any questions? So this is how my thing started on TikTok. And I'm going to just say it for the people who don't know. When I started TikTok back in 2019, before the whole pandemic thing, I used to make videos. I can't lip sync. I can't dance. And I used to just make videos. I would be at work and I'd be like, look how dark it is. Because we would get there like before 7. Some days it would be foggy. It would be cold. I had bought and I was looking at some of the videos that I made, and I had bought some waterproof boots that got wet. My feet got wet, and I was like, what kind of waterproof boots are these? Right? So, started doing TikToks. I got bored with it because I wasn't getting any followers, and it was kind of, kind of lame before the pandemic. Then the pandemic hits. And I say this because it's kind of relevant. right before the pandemic got crazy, I got dumped. Very next day, I was in a car accident. So, um, sitting here, got a lot of time on my hands. Went on TikTok because a lot of celebrities started getting on TikTok. So I went on TikTok and I saw that, a lot of people were getting on here. So I started getting on TikTok, making videos. Very boring, very lame, just being myself. This is me. I cook beans. I make pico de gallo, arroz con pollo. I'm showing people my plants. Just like that. So was never very a political person. I don't understand politics. I think it's very stupid that Republicans and Democrats are so against the people when they're supposed to be for the people. Anyway, so the political thing started happening, right? Trump's an idiot. He started being very immature, very irresponsible, and then he was talking about the stimulus and howdy, um, the whole thing about he's not going to support this, he's not going to support that. People that were against him weren't getting his help because that's how immature and ignorant he is. So he was saying that he wasn't going to help the post office. Then I get a letter in the mail addressed from Trump, and it says you're going to get your stimulus. It's from me, so pat me on the back, blah blah blah. Um, howdy. So I was like, this is very stupid. One, I had already gotten my stimulus the week before, so it was unnecessary to send the letter. Two, he put a lot of extra work on the post office, which he doesn't want to help. So I was like so upset. I made a video saying Trump is an idiot because he sent this letter saying that you're going to get the stimulus and he's putting more work on the post office when he doesn't even want to help them, blah, blah, blah. Never once said anything about people that support Trump. Then I started getting all these racist, idiot, white trash POSs. Hey boy, if you don't like it, give the money back. You don't like it, why don't you go back to where you came from? I was like, wait a minute. First of all, I came from Nebraska. I don't want to go back there. I like it here in Texas. Two, who the F are you to tell me what I have to do? And who the heck are you to tell me that, hey, you don't like it, give the money back? Did you give the money back? And why should I give the money back just because I don't like Trump? The money was not from him, you ignorant POSs. The money came from the government, not from Trump. So we started talking smack. I was like, wait a minute. At first I was like, haha, they have their own narrow-minded, ignorant, white trash opinions. But then they started attacking me and attacking me and attacking me. And I was like, wait a minute. Okay. You want to go there? So I made a video. If you go through all my history, there's a video way back when. That video has gotten close to 200,000 views. Because I said, you know what? All you MFers that voted for Trump, F you, F Trump, F you voted for him, F you if you support him, and y'all can EAD. I blew up after that. Everybody thought that I was some kind of political guru because I made this video. It's like, no. Just don't like ignorant, immature POSs. That's the only reason I made the Trump video. And all his supporters that were attacking me, I'm from the hood, yo. I may have a master's in English, but I grew up in the hood. If somebody calls you names, you don't just sit there and say, okay, I appreciate your opinion and everything. I like how you talk to me in a very abusive, vulgar, and demeaning manner. So I'm gonna be a good little Mexican and just sit here and take it. I don't think so. Mama didn't raise no pan dulce. I'll tell you that much. So I went on the rampage. Was on the rampage for months. They started it. They brought me into the fight. I stayed in it. I'll just say that. So a lot of Trump supporters get mad, and very, very few, like this many out of 10, how many voted for him? 80 million? Like 3 out of 80 million were actually decent human beings. And one guy even said, "It's like, what's with the name calling? It's like, you guys started it. I'm just in here. You know, I'm just in here. You brought me into the fight. I'm in here." Well, not all of us are like that. I said, well, I'm sorry, but it's us versus them. Pick a side. Pick a side, because as far as I know, it's us versus them. And if you ain't on my side, you're the enemy. And that's what a lot of people still don't understand, is that it's us versus them. You have to pick a side. You have to pick a side, because there's right, which is our side, and there's wrong, which is their side. Just saying. It's like, if you have a dog, let's say you have a pet, right? If you see somebody in public being mean to their dog, you're not going to just be like, "Oh, look at him. He's really mean to his dog. He shouldn't be like that." No, you're going to feel something inside you that's going to make you say, "Hey, stop being mean to that dog." You know? That's just the way people are. So, from my perspective, either you're on our side or you're on their side. They started the war. I picked my side, and I'm here to stay. That's all I got to say. So, if they would not have messed with me from the beginning, I wouldn't be such a jerk the way I am. I'm just saying. Excuse me. With that being said, does anybody have any other questions they would like to ask the moderator? So, while y'all think of good questions to ask, I have always considered myself a poet, and this is something that I kept under wraps for a long time, just because it was always personal stuff that I wrote. I would go through emotional stuff, and my outlet was writing stuff. It wasn't always rhyming poetry, you know. I feel so mad. I'm not glad. Don't you know that it's rad? I didn't do that kind of poetry. I always just wrote, "Oh, this is how I feel," blah, blah, blah. Put it away. Nobody ever saw it. So, 2 years ago, classmate from high school approaches me on Facebook and says, "Hey, we're doing this book to help raise money for uh, what do you call it? Mental illness awareness." And I was like, "No." She says, "But it's for a good cause." I said, "No, nobody has ever read my stuff. Unless I write a poem for you, nobody's ever read my stuff. But it's for a good cause." And I'm like, ugh. I said, "Look, nobody has ever read my stuff unless it was something I wrote for you or it was for a class. So, if I let you see my stuff, you can't let anybody see it." And she says, "Well, somebody has to see it. The person who's going to write the book. You know, the editor." So, long story short, they actually picked something that I wrote. It wasn't really a poem, but it was just something that I wrote. And it was right after my first wife passed away, and I called it "The Ramblings of a Madman" or something like that. And they picked that to put in the book. So I don't know what the book's called. If you really want to know, you have to let me know so I can ask my friend and look it up. It's for sale, but it was a few years ago, so I don't remember what the book's called. But they actually published it. So um, so there's that. I've been wanting to do open mic. I'm still kind of shy about it. But that's one of the things that I eventually want to have the courage to do, is to recite. I've never recited my poetry for anybody, so it would be like a first time thing. So that's another thing that, especially last year with the whole COVID thing, obviously nothing got done, but hopefully in the near future, that will be something that I do or look into doing. So just FYI. Um, I mean, I just finished saying that I don't like Trump, and I don't understand why some people like to be right there. So, with that being said, does anybody have any other questions they would like to ask the moderator? Um, don't know what else to say or talk about that I haven't covered. Um, sometimes I still write stuff, but it's usually I tried doing it from the perspective of trying to rhyme. Um, gracias, gracias. Somebody just said keep up the good work. I'm trying. uh, I tried doing it from a rhyming perspective, trying to make it rhyme. It's not easy, you guys. If you've ever made something rhyme, it's one thing when you do it just spur of the moment, but when you actually sit down and like, okay, let's write something. Let's write something that rhymes. It's like, whoa. Um, the first time that I was married for 5 years. The second time I was married for 7 months. Um, second wife ended up going back to her ex, and I found out after the marriage ended that she went back with her ex, and that they were talking while we were married. Um, uh, the question is, am I ready for the cold front? I actually like the cold weather. I tell people that it's because I was born in Nebraska and I feel like the coldness is in my blood. Um, I actually like the cold weather, but I don't like it when it's cold and wet. A lot of times when there's a cold front, it brings precipitation with it. That I don't like. It's one thing to be cold, it's another to be cold and wet. So I don't mind the cold weather at all. I have jackets that I never get to wear. I have long sleeve shirts that I never get to wear. I have sweaters that I never get to wear. So um, there's that. So not necessarily ready for the cold weather, but I'm not opposed to it. The question is, what kind of beer do I like to drink? I'm not really a beer person. I have gradually matured over the years. I went from drinking light beer to drinking dark beer. My favorite beer right now, if I have to answer that question, is a beer called Ziegenbach. When they first started it, it used to be made here in Houston, and it was only offered to people in Texas. I think it's still only offered in Texas, but I think they make it somewhere else now. You know, after the whole Anheuser-Busch thing, it's an Anheuser-Busch product. Um, uh, I despise wine. I despise wine with a passion. Red wine is horrible. Some of the non-red wines I can handle, but for the most part, wine is horrible. I've tried drinking it. Red wine is supposed to be good for your heart. I tried drinking it. After the first taste, it gets worse and worse and worse. So I can't handle wine. Um, I used to be a big rum drinker. Bacardi was always my favorite until I went to Spain. Um, well, it's still a Bacardi product, but when I went to Spain, they have a Bacardi called Elixir. It's made with sugar cane. It's only sold in Spain, so I can't get it here in the States, and it would cost an arm and a leg to have it shipped here. The only way it would be cost effective is if I ordered a whole case and had it shipped here. Um, the funny thing about that is when I was in Spain, I the resort we were staying at was around the corner from a bar called My Brother's Bar. Not El Bar de Mi Hermano. It was called My Brother's Bar. Went in and they had Bacardi Elixir on the shelf. I said, I gotta try that. I kid you not. He served it with Mexican Coke. Mexican Coke. The kind that's made in Mexico. That's made with real sugar cane. It was sold in Spain. So I was like, you gotta be kidding me. I'm at an English named bar drinking Mexican Coke in Spain. So I fell in love with it. It's so good, but it's only sold in Spain. I bought one bottle to bring back, and I tried saving it as long as I could, but that was back in 2014, so I got drunk a long time ago. Drank it. I drank it long time ago. So, for the new people that just came in, we're doing live on TikTok, Instagram, and I'm recording for my podcast, video and audio. So I'll upload the audio to my podcast and I'll upload the video to YouTube, and then I'll just sit back and wait for the haters to talk smack to me. People go out of their way to be jerks. These Trump supporters are beyond lame and pathetic, but they literally go out of their way just to tell me stuff on YouTube. And you wonder why I don't like these people. My mom says, I don't have any canas. And this one, I used to say that I'm going to leave it like that because of the Spurs, silver and black. Okay, so, oh yeah, and it's funny because I always watch these videos on TikTok that talk about how they hate you because, one, they want to be you, they can't be like you, and because they hate themselves so much. And I've always believed that people that attack you feel so crappy about themselves that they try to make other people feel crappy, and for some sick reason that makes them feel better about themselves. So I always tell people I know is that if you let them get to you, then you gave them your power. So don't give them your power and don't let them get to you. Just be like, okay. It's like that one video. You're stupid. Okay. You're ugly. Cool. I don't like the way you look. Wow, that's awesome. Why are you agreeing with me? Because I don't really care what you think. And there's another video that says, if they're not paying your rent, if they're not paying your bills, and if they're not giving it up, then who cares what they think? And I strongly believe that. Because if they're nobody to you, they're not anybody in your life, and they're not being a financial resource to you, then who cares what they think? Yeah, it's like Metallica said, misery loves company. Metallica didn't say that. Oh, the idiot Trump supporter earlier. Culture is not taught at school, it's taught at home. If you want to learn about Mexican history, go to Mexico. We learn about European history. I'm not from Europe. Why do we have to learn about that? So, there's that. Not sure what else you guys want to know or talk about. It's funny because I took choir in middle school. I hated it. Because in the small town that I grew up in, you had to either take choir or band. You had to choose. Didn't really have the money to buy an instrument because In small towns, you have to buy your own instrument. So I picked choir. Um, the only good thing that came out of that is I know how to sing. I'm not saying that I can sing. I know how to sing. I can read sheet music a little bit, and I know what stuff means. Like the notes and all that. Um, Slowly over time, I started to have a appreciation for music, but my thing growing up was hip hop. From middle school through high school, I was always a hip hop kid. I liked some rock, but I wasn't like a rock head, metal head, like a lot of people were. Especially at my school, Metallica was really big at Memorial. Um, my thing, I was a hip hop kid. Um, then when I was in my late 20s, I met this white chick, and she was all country, and I couldn't listen to anything else except country. Slowly, it grew on me. I thought it was funny. We're in the car, and I'm like, wait, what? Who did that? Who's doing that to me? I started to learn the songs. So that became my favorite genre of music over time. I mean, I like other music. I like rock. I like rap. I like Tejano. I like oldies. I like other kinds of music. But eventually, over time, um, it became my favorite genre of music. So if I ever did anything, I wanted to sing in a country band. Excuse me. Edward posted on Facebook, "Hey, we're looking for a singer," and I was like, I liked the comment just because he's my friend. I was trying to show support. I liked the comment. Hey, if you want to come audition, blah blah blah, and I was like, okay, I wasn't really liking the comment for that, but okay. So I went, hung out with them, sang a few songs, and they said, "Hey, we like how you sing, dog. You want to join our band?" I was like, "If you guys are crazy enough to think that I sing good enough to be in your band, yeah, I'll join your band." So I sing in a blues band. And the funny thing is, never listened to blues in my life. I'm in a blues band. I was born in a little town called Scottsbluff, Nebraska, which is close to the border of Nebraska and Colorado. So I have family in Nebraska, Colorado. I have family in Kansas. Um, I do have an aunt that lives in California. She's from here, but they moved to California. I have family all over Texas. I have family here. My mom lives in a little town called Freeport, which is south of Houston. I have family Abilene, Big Springs. Um, Doing searches on family trees and stuff like that, I found out that there's family from my father's side of the family in Abilene, but they spell it with the S instead of a Z. Um, I don't really have hobbies per se. Um, I collect books. I like to read. Uh, Music and poetry are like my main things. I'm not a big TV person. The reason I turned off the cable was because the only thing that I would really, really watch is wrestling. Monday Night Raw, Friday Night SmackDown. Since I turned off the cable, I can watch Raw on Tuesdays on Hulu. I have all that stuff: Hulu, Netflix, um, Disney Plus, everything because of my grandkids. They like to watch that stuff. Um, so I don't really have the need for cable. I mean, why am I paying for cable if I only watch one show? And honestly, there's not really anything that grabs me enough to watch TV. Um, so I I turned off the cable. Um, I don't collect music. I have iTunes. I have a few CDs, but most of it is stuff that I've had or I find at like the thrift store. I found a Garth Brooks CD at the thrift store for like $2. Um, I didn't watch the inauguration. I was asleep. I do Uber at night, so I sleep in the daytime. And as historical as it was, and as much as I wanted to watch it, I was so tired by 11 o'clock that I just went to sleep. To be honest with you, um, apparently, if you get nominated for the job, then you're that good. So she must be good if she got appointed the position. Um, I do work out right now. I'm on a 5-day split. Monday is chest day, Tuesday is leg day, Wednesday is back day, rest on Thursdays, shoulders on Fridays, and arms on Saturdays. I'm not really doing cardio because everything that I read says that if you want to build muscle, to not do cardio. So I'm not running anymore. I'm just walking. After my workouts, I try to go for I didn't walk today because since I woke up late, I went to go change the oil. That took a few hours. Then I washed the car. By the time I got home, it was already late. I fell asleep. I didn't sleep for that long, and I woke up, and it was already late. So I worked out, and um, it was already dark. And I'm not scared of the dark, but there's a lot of dogs in my neighborhood, and I don't like getting bitten by stray dogs. So I didn't want to. I don't like going to the park at night because of the animals. Which is funny because you may think that it's funny, but doing Uber at night, I see a lot of animals. Of course, going to Lukenbach, I saw a lot of animals because that's where they live. But even here in the city, we have a lot of areas that are undeveloped, non-developed, have not been developed yet. So there's a lot of animals. There's literally like wildlife out there. Sometimes I'll be driving and you see like deer, which it's not a big deal. But sometimes I'll see like fox. Um, I saw a bobcat a few years ago. I've seen a lot of skunks lately, and I think it's so funny. Um, I see a skunk walking towards somebody's house, and I'm like, oh my God, he's gonna go to their house. And I ain't trying to bother no skunk either, because I don't want to get sprayed. So I just keep driving and mind my own business. So, any other questions you guys would like to ask the moderator? For the love of money. I think if Walking Dead was for real, I think I would be successful. As far as killing zombies, I wouldn't have a problem um, stabbing a zombie in the eye with a pitchfork, especially if it was us versus them. Um, it's either me or you. So if you're already dead, I'm gonna help you die some more. I went to Memorial. I'm from the West Side. Uh, in the other life, the other day there was like 3 or 4 of us from Memorial and the West Side. Graduated in 1991. I was a hardcore schoolboy. I've been a schoolboy since about 3rd grade. Um, National Honor Society, AB honor roll, almost all the time. Don't be fox teching over here, because I actually went to Fox Tech my freshman year, um, which is funny because there was a group that I used to network with, and one of the spouses was from Fox Tech and the other one was from Lanier. I don't remember who was who, but that was always the first question they ask you, especially if they knew you were from the West Side. They were like, "What high school did you go to? Fox Tech or Lanier?" I'm like, "Memorial, neither one." So I was safe, you know. But it was one of those things, you know. And in high school, I wasn't really like made aware of certain things, so I didn't know that um, you could actually go to junior college before you went to college. So I thought you went from high school to college, and I wanted to be a mechanical engineer when I was in high school because I was really good at math and science. That was my forte. Um, so I applied to Texas A&M. They said yes, and I applied for financial aid, and I didn't have enough money in scholarships and grants and all this stuff and everything. So I'm like, okay, I can't go. So I literally just sat there because I was like, I can't do anything. I mean, I can't go to school. What am I going to do now? And it was just one of those things. I just happened to be checking the mail one day, and a recruiter came up and he's like, "Hey, man, what y'all doing around here and everything? Y'all ain't going to no college and everything?" I said, "Well, no, I don't have no money, doc." He says, "Well, hey, you know y'all can get the money from the Navy and everything. Tell you what." So they tricked me into joining. I enlisted. I went to the Navy. Ended up getting kicked out because I was got into trouble. That's when my drug activity started. I started doing coke, and you want to talk about impaired judgment. So I was like, kick me out. I don't care. So they did. They kicked me out. Um, Came home, and that's when all the bad stuff started to happen. Went to jail about 8 times in a 10-year period until I finally said, um, it's time to stop living like this because did not intend for me to live my life this way. Mexican American Studies is a very interesting major, especially if you have lived a lot of the stories that you read about. Um, I remember a lot of the classes that I was in. A lot of the I was Most of the time I was the oldest person there. Some of the students had never even heard of stuff like Operation Wetback, the Zoot Suit riots, excuse me, stuff like that. Um, I thought it was very interesting because uh, when I was growing up in that very small town, they tried to make you feel bad for being different, but I never really felt bad. I knew I was different because I was darker than them, but I didn't think that I was bad. So um, that's why I always loved this city because here they embrace you being Mexicano. There in a small hick racist town, they don't. So I always wanted to move back here. To me, this was always my home. So when we finally moved back, I was like, yes, I'm home. This is where I belong. Went straight to the library, started reading up on Chicano history. Like I was saying on live earlier, I got the cassette. It was like 5 or 6 VHS cassettes about the Chicano movement. And I sat there and I watched the whole thing. And I was like, my heart grew like 10 times. And I was like, this is who I am. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to be. And ever since then, I've always considered myself Chicano. And I used, I like to personally use the term because of those people that fought for a better treatment. I'm not saying that it's good because it still hasn't been, 100% the way it should be. We're still not treated equally, but we've been treated somewhat better. Um, we have better access to certain things like education. That's why I went to school, because these people fought for us to be able to go to school. So to me, it was like my obligation to them. And I've always felt a big sense of pride because of those people and what they did. So I've always considered myself Chicano because of that. Um, I started reading up on stuff. When I got to college, I wanted to do math, computer science. I got up to Cal 2, but then I didn't quite understand it. I passed, but I didn't quite understand it. And if you know anything about math, you go college algebra, um, trig, geometry, calculus, calculus 2. But you learn stuff like there's a tunnel, or there's a funnel inside of a cylinder. If you're putting feed inside of a silo and it's going through the funnel into the cylinder at this rate of a speed, how long before it gets full? If you're walking, right? If you're walking and there's a plane certain length above you, how long, how far will the plane be in an hour? Stuff like that. Like not just word questions, but it's like different parts. So all that stuff that you learn in algebra and geometry and pre-cal and cal 1, it starts to make sense because you're able to figure out those questions, and you use stuff like if you guys remember the hypotenuse, the half 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 the base times the height and all that stuff. You start putting in, well, that looks like a triangle, that looks like a circle, that looks like this and that, and you volumes, and you start putting everything together, and it makes sense. But for me personally, I didn't feel confident enough to keep going with that. Then when I got to computer science, I took C plus, COBOL, aced them. Then I got to freaking Java. Java kicked my butt. The halfway through the semester, you get to a program where you're doing dice. And if you guys know how dice are 2, right? This is 1, that's another. When you roll dice, you can only have 1 through 6. You can't have 0, and you can't have any number be after 6. The first die would always roll perfect. The second die never rolled. Not 100% of the time did it roll 1 through 6. Sometimes it would do 0 or a negative number, and sometimes it would do above 6, and I'm like, ah. So I had to find something that was easier. So I thought English was easier, and I found out the hard way that it's not. Um, uh, so I dropped out of that, and I did English, and I was in one of my classes, I think it was like Mexican American literature, and my professor that got me interested in doing Mexican American studies, I think I had done like intro to Mexican American studies, and when I saw the class, I was like, I have to sign up for that. That's who I am. So I signed up for it, and she says, I had gotten into trouble because of the drugs thing, and then I stopped going to school for a while. Then I came back, and she sees me one day and she says, hey, what's your major? And I said, English. And she says, excuse me, she says, why don't you double major? And I said, because it sounds like a lot of work. And she goes, it's not. Look it up. And think about it. So I made an appointment with the academic advisor. I found out. He says, I looked at your email and I got your paperwork ready, and I just want to let you know that this is what we have to offer, right? And he gives me the paper and he says, so this is what you have, and this is what you need. So as far as what you need, we can double dip. And I'm like, whoa, what does that mean? He goes, you can use one class for both majors. And I was like, what? He says, yeah, that's the cool part that a lot of people don't know. So we double dipped, and he says, this is what you have. This is what you need for just one major. This is what you need for a second major. And I'm like, so it would take me one semester more, but I would come out with 2 degrees. He says, yeah, sign me up. What do I got to do? So I signed the paperwork, did that. The cool thing about double majoring is you get to walk the stage twice. I just said earlier that I come from a big family. You only get, when you go to a big school like UTSA, you only get 5 tickets. I have 6 sisters and a mom. Try telling my mom she can't come to graduation. Try telling one of my sisters they can't come to graduation. So, long story short, I got to walk the stage twice, Friday and Saturday. Friday, I was so nervous, man. I was so nervous. I was like, man, I can't believe. I wanted to cry. I was like, I can't believe all the blood, sweat, and tears it took for me to get here. From 1997, I started school, was still doing the drug thing. I got in trouble a few times, um, dropped out of school, and I finally went back and I graduated in 2011. And I walked the stage. I was so nervous that, I mean, you want to talk about heart pounding in your chest. Excuse me. And then Saturday came. I was like, I'm cool with Hand Luke, man. I was so excited because I had already walked the stage. The thing that sucks about going to a big school is having to wait. Thank you. Thank you, Olivia. Having to wait. My last name starts with an A. So I was at the very, very front. And there's like all these rows of students. And I'm like, can they let us leave? We're like, no, you have to wait till everybody finishes. So you're full of excitement and you're full of animo and adrenaline because I already walked the stage. And when you're walking the stage, everybody's cheering for you. Even people that don't know you, they still cheer for you because you did it. And I'm just sitting there and like, I want to leave. I want to leave. I want to leave. But I got to do it twice, and it's pretty awesome, dude. It's pretty awesome. So it really doesn't bother me that people say, you know, stuff. Uh, you got all the education and you don't even get to use it. Yes, but I got it, and I have it. You know, that's something that nobody will ever be able to take away from me. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna end the video because for some reason the software doesn't let me record for more than an hour. So thank you for watching. See you next time.